a Dredfunn original production. Please sit back and enjoy.
Hey guys, Dredfunn here with another one of my time-lapse video uploads, but before we start, by Crom. If we're drawing Conan, we gotta break out the sword. Anyways, to the drawing. This was an image that I set about doing myself where I actually had a couple different images off to the side. One was a bodybuilder doing a most muscular pose, kind of like this. I also had another individual that was kind of looking down in a sort of shaded image, and I combined the two and then freestyled the hair. And then as you can see, as it came along, I sort of, altered things a little bit. Again, I'm using my progression method from basically the old rectangular square method. I lay everything out topographically, and then I go in, and right now you can see as I'm doing the face, I'm detailing things, making quick little measurements, and I'm then going to go about and try to make this look as realistic as possible. Now, of course, when you're talking about realistic Conan, you got to mention Arnold. So I was very cautious and conscious, whatever. Me English no good. I was very worried that some of Arnold would bleed through, and I wanted a little bit because I always thought Arnold was a great Cimmerian, but I also wanted to make Conan look a lot like those Jusco early type, Frazetta type image. So here I am just detailing the face, and it's an 8.5 by 11 page, so it's about that big. So his face isn't all that big. I then go in and I'm smudging. I'm not so worried about certain areas like the eyes, where the contrasting white, because as you see when we get towards the end of this, I'm going to pull that stuff out with an eraser. Now I'm also focusing right here on making his hair glisten. He has that dark silky black type hair, and the way that you accomplish that is by, for me personally, I lay it all out dark first, and then I start smudging over top of it, adding lines to symbolize each strand of hair. There's no way you're ever going to get every strand of hair, but you want to make it look like you've got as many. So that's what I do there, and then I smudge it all up. This is crucial here. I'm working on the bicep. Like I said, I have a model that I'm using off to the side, like an image, but I'm also I'm boning up some of his dimensions. I made his forearms purposely bigger. Also his hands, made them a little more muscular, and in this one I'm also, you can see the veins coming out on the forearm and the upper shoulder. They weren't as prominent in the original image. Again, it's just I'm smudging, using my thumb, using my fingers, laying it out, giving it contour, and trying to make it look as 3D as possible, make it kind of pop off the page, remembering that each muscle correlates. So bicep, tricep, the front deltoid, the side deltoid, the brachioradialis, all those muscles in the arm. I then smudge it up quick, add a little bit of hair, and then we move on to the chest. This part of the drawing was tough because I actually wasn't sure, if memory serves me right, if I had a couple different sword references off to the side, and I even used this one a little bit too, just looking at myself in a mirror holding it, because I wanted to line it up. And again, the reference model doesn't actually really hold his hands quite like that. They're more turned, so in essence these are kind of like almost beefed up versions of my own hands, and a combination of the hands and the lighting that I used from the reference picture. This part down here, the loincloth, it's all me. The original image was only from the waist up. So I'm using actually Arnold himself and some of the early black and white magazine style comic books to really give me an idea where I'm going. And then with the sword, when doing metallic and shiny objects, really the key is what you pull out later. So again, just smudging the hands and being conscious that the shading is coming in from, so if I'm Conan standing this way, it would be coming in down this way, sort of, no, opposite. Anyways, I get confused. so badly that when I played high school football, they actually had to give me a pink shoelace on my left foot and a black shoelace on my right foot. Just because I kept going the opposite way. It's a problem I've had my whole life. My wife and I deal with it on a regular basis. So when the coach would call, you know, Fred, you got to go pink, that means I'm going left. I would look down and be like, aha, I know this. Anyways, enough about me. Detailing the pectoral muscles. Again, you're trying to make these muscles pop, so the lighting that's coming down is going to show these under areas. We're not going to show them. It's going to be in a dark shade. And laying it down and smudging it and keeping in mind, like I said, right now you can see certain areas where I definitely haven't done much detailing. I'm going to go back and pull that out. The sword, for instance, had a hard time with that one. I waited until almost the very end, till I was done that arm before I started detailing it. Again, I switch back and forth. I know I've said it in the past that I like to go light to dark, but I also like to go dark to light or light to dark or back and forth. Really, it's just a feel that I get. And for those of you starting out drawing, you just got to do it again and again and again, and it starts to build this pattern recognition. And you know, for some of us, it's harder, I guess, to maintain it. I flop around back and forth. I go with feel. So here we are detailing Conan's blade, and I had to make sure that it looked like the Atlantean blade from the comic books and the movie, because they did a good job of making that sucker look awesome. It's pretty much almost an exact replica of a couple model pictures that I found off to the side, and again, this one. This is neat, where you just sort of darken it all up, and then I'm going to come across in those parts of the loincloth and the thigh. They're just going to get a heavy amount of shade and a lot of smudging, especially with the brush right there, boom. It really clouds it up, but again, when you pull it out with the graphite eraser, it's really going to add a cool contrast to the muscles, the bellies of the muscles. Here we are just finishing it all up. Yeah, again, this side would be a little bit darker than the other side, because as you can see, I've got the shadow or the light coming down from that side. If you're looking at it, again, let's not get confused.
From his right.
From his right, there we go. So here we are. Again, look, you can see certain areas. It's really key. My big head gets in the way, but you can still see. I'm focusing, keeping in mind, as well as checking with my reference. Once I have everything topographically laid out, it's a lot like a sculptor or somebody working with plasticine. I'm pulling and adding and taking and just changing things slightly. The whole point is I'm trying to make this muscle look real, like it's attached to the deltoid. It's like it's attached to the forearms. There. I've finished shading the entire thing. I'm now going in again, and just certain areas I'm adding with a little bit of dark. Or I'm continuing to darken it up. I just didn't like the way certain things look. You can see where, you know, the muscle on the left side of his pec, it's really, I wasn't too happy with that. Went in and darkened it up. Again, this is me just darkening certain hash lines, because when I go over it with my hand, sometimes it smudges it up, and I really want it this smooth. So here I am just finishing it up, and we are about to bring it in. Boom, here comes the graphite eraser, and I like to say this is the magic. I pull it all out from the background, because this is going to be a standalone picture of just him popping. There we go, from the nose, the cheek. It just adds a level of realism and a level of depth. What I'll even do on occasion is I will go back in there, and apparently we've frozen for a bit. I might have got distracted. It happens. I'll go back in there and I'll actually shade over top of an area that I've taken the graphite out. And by doing that, going over it lightly, certain spots up in the deltoid region, just again, it adds a rendering, a shading that just makes it look real and make it pop off the page. Here we are doing the same thing with the metallic sword. On this side, it's going to be a subtle shading, or subtle removal. You can see, there I am going back over with it, pulling out a little bit, looking on the overall. Anyways, hope you guys like this video. Don't forget to subscribe and buy Crom. Like this video. Pass it on. Hit that notification. Dredfunn out. Roar!
This has been a Dredfunn.com production. Thanks for watching.